So my question to you is, would you be in favor of putting a appointed student representative on the Board of Regents, even if it involves changing the state constitution?
I think they may have one on there already, but they can't vote. Is that right?
Would you be in favor of putting a voting member on the Board of
I'm
Regents?
considering definitely letting them have a vote. But I wish it could be not just that one student. Somehow, I would like to see it broadened so that they put out the questions that the student would be voting on to the student body, and maybe get an election of the whole student body on what they think about the issue, and let him be the vote, like the representative for them, much like a legislator would be. But I think there's a lot of merit to that idea. So I would be open to that, yes.
Mine's kind of a more general question. And it's kind of a, like I see Republicans nationally and within the state, a lot of the time Democratic candidates have trouble with really making the public aware of exactly even these things, such as you mentioned that Republicans are doing, especially cable. And so I know that you mentioned like television ads, and I have seen them that are really effective. But do you have any other, ideas on how to make sure that that message is spread, and it's not only spread but also like effective and really gets people?
Yes, I would love for us to beef up the Democratic Party in what we're doing, because we don't have the outreach that we need. You know, the Republicans are really good. They can hit a button and they can blast an email over this entire state. You know, and I think our group presses a button and it goes to 700 of his friends. I mean, I'm not sure. We've got to really rebuild on what we're doing, and we need to enlarge our tent. I just got through reading Courage and Consequences by Karl Rove, because I read every political book that comes out. Karl Rove says in his book, they went into our democratic neighborhoods and stole our faith community from us. Now, we're in Georgia. Every Democratic function I go to opens with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Why did we ever let them steal our faith community? You know, I'm on the worship committee. I teach Sunday school. You know, I honestly believe we're here to help other people, which I believe is one of the main tenets of the Bible. You know, I've read the Bible 4 times. You know, I read the Bible and I look for the love and not the hate. I'm looking for the bread and not the stones. And I think we need to enlarge our tent back out. You know, I think at a certain point, for some reason, we were perceived, we narrowed the tent down too small. And I think we need to bring that tent back up, because I think education is a value that we really cherish and want to help as many people as possible. We believe, I think, a lot in infrastructure. We believe you can build the economy through infrastructure. Now, I believe in tax incentives, but you know, every state's getting tax incentives now. All the countries are getting tax incentives. You've got to have more than that. That's not enough anymore. We've got to have tax incentives and a strong infrastructure to attract those industries. We just lost Electrolux over in Augusta that's been there forever because they can't get their stuff to the airport. You know, when you have such a terrible transportation system, you're losing people. We look at big industries all the time that just say, you know, get your water problem solved, we'll be back. Possibly. Right now, if you read the Atlanta Business Chronicle, the industries that we're mainly attracting are looking for a low-wage pool. Well, that's not going to really grow our economy. We need those high-paying jobs. And if we don't beef up education, I'm sure y'all know China has more honor students than we have students in America. India is just fixing to build 30 new universities. We've lost our low-wage jobs. Once the corporations found out they could hire jobs over there for 50 cents an hour, those are just never coming back here. But if we don't watch out, we're going to lose the high-paying jobs like radiologists. You know, anything that could be transferred digitally, like an x-ray, might start going to India. So we've got to really beef up our education system in a major way over here. We're 27th now among industrialized nations. We were always number 1 because of education. So we've got to build that back. All right, anything else?
On more of the political side of things, it drives a lot, I know a lot of Democrats crazy that, you know, there are all these ethical problems. I mean, to me, I don't see how anyone could vote for Deal because he's for cable, because they're so clearly corrupt. You know, they're not even really hiding it. But nothing seems to stick to them. It just, you say something and they just kind of brush it off and move on and no one listens to it anymore. I mean, even beyond ads, it just seems like nothing sticks to them. How can we make that argument stick?
I don't know, and I know this is really going to upset you, so I probably shouldn't tell you, but I was in Dalton recently, and a lot of people up there were voting for Nathan, and it was right after all the stuff he did, and they said, oh, you know, he's just trying to help out his family, and he's a good Christian man. So they're all voting for him. So I think what we're going to have to do is just show, you know, who we are and what we're about, and how we can, you know, find overlaps. You know, this is really going to upset you, but I had Tea Partiers come to my event, and at first, it was the first time it had happened, and I thought, oh, here comes my YouTube moment. Because I'm thinking, you know, they're so upset on everything. They came up to me smiling, and I was like, well, hey, you know, glad you're here. And they are so upset over those property taxes going up, the taxes going up, and they know a lot about Casey because he's from Gainesville and they know him, and they're all upset about a lot of those issues too, and they're just not voting for him. And so then I was down in Swainsboro recently, and I really lit into a speech because I had just seen Casey's ad, and Casey had just been speaking about two people before me, and he got up there and said he protected educational funding and kept your taxes low. Well, I had about all I could stand of it, and I'm worn out anyway, and so I got up there and I said, I just want to tell y'all, Casey Cagle just told a bold-faced lie to you. I mean, just that plain. I said, Casey Cagle presided over $4 billion in cuts to education, and he raised your property taxes. If you go to Casey Cagle's website, cutwaste.org, and click on the blog and scroll down, he's on there saying, we protected that homeowner's tax relief grant, and we kept your taxes from going up $200 or $300 a household, and you don't need to be burdened with that kind of stuff in this economy, blah, blah, blah. The duplicity of it. If you're willing to say anything to get elected on TV, what will you do when those cameras aren't on? That's what I'm running against. We just need ethical leadership, and we can turn this state around. So, we're just going to have to work a little harder. We're going to have to team up, work a little harder, show that we're, you know, not that scary. We're like you too. We don't like taxes. They're killing us too. Our people, we can't stay in our homes. You know, so we're just going to have to reach out more. Get outside our comfort zone, you know, talk to our colleagues at work or students that we, you know, just don't talk to your friends. Get out there and tell them about the Hawk system. That's un-American. Tell them about what he did over there to Preston Smith. That is decidedly un-American. Say who raised their taxes and their fees. You know, who's putting a lot of our things that we used to buy in state out of state. None of that are Republican values. You know, let's look for the overlaps and get out there. So we can do it. Just need your help. Anything else? How am I doing with the Republicans? Have I lost you yet?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Where is that from?
You sort of sound like a Republican to me. I don't know. Maybe you just haven't gotten enough into it.
Well, we want the same things. You know, you want to pay less taxes, and I want to educate more people. It's the same thing. You know, when I educate more people, they pay more taxes. You pay less taxes. So we kind of want the same things. We're just sort of coming at it from two different angles sometimes.
I agree with that.
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, which is the only city in America that has a majority of its education system under charter schools. What place do you feel that charter schools should have in Georgian education?
I think charter schools have a good role to play. I think we've got to be careful that they can't financially hurt our public school system. But I do think that charter schools can meet a need in a lot of places. And we lost an industry to New Orleans because they got so much help that their tax incentives were more than ours. That's why you can't depend on those tax incentives. You've got to have a strong infrastructure too to make people want to come. If I had the best public education system in Lawrence County, I couldn't beat industry off of there with a stick. That's one of the main things they're upset about, that transportation. You know, when they come down there on roads like this, and then they know if they have to take their stuff, you know, out up north, they're going to get stuck in Atlanta for 4 hours. Why would they pick me? You know, they're going to go to another state. We've got to solve these problems. And being the only one that will be in leadership below I-20, I think I'm a great bridge candidate because I can explain to rural Georgia why Atlanta functioning is good for us. You know, we need that kind of a bridge person. You know, I think because I grew up in such an impoverished area, but then I had a lot of advantages because my father was a doctor, that I can bridge that rich-poor gap. You know, I think I can bridge a lot of gaps. You know, I have a lot of peer group that are Republicans because of where I live, but then I'm a Democrat. So I just hope that I can be a bridge candidate and we can put all the, you know, partisan bickering aside and all the warring factions that we have in Georgia and just come together.